Hey YouTube, it's Arwen, the professional joy seeker and professional tarot consultant, and also Barbara Walters wannabe. I know I haven't done a lot of these lately, but I'm really excited to be back on the interview horse and interviewing the lovely Rachel StudentWitch. And I know many of you know her. She's got a very popular channel for good reason. So Rachel, welcome. Tell me just a little bit about you and your channel.
Hello, everybody. So yes, I'm Rachel, aka the Student Witch, and I just have a channel. It's very kind of a laid-back channel. So I do little series here or there. Mostly I use it just to be able to express myself, because I know a lot of us pagans and magical practitioners and stuff in our everyday lives, we sometimes have to keep things under wraps for fear of job security and whatnot. So the interwebs and online communities and things like YouTube are great spaces to be able to just express yourself and talk about your spirituality or your development on your specific path. So that's really what my channel is in a nutshell.
It's a great channel. I really enjoy it. You're one of actually the first people that I can remember finding that somebody else hadn't said, go watch this person. I think you may have commented on somebody else's, and I thought, well, that's a clever name. Let me go see. And I went, wow, I really like her. She's adorable. She's engaging. She's easy to look at and easy to listen to. So, and
thank you.
For me, for a YouTube person, for me to watch somebody, we'll just use the word religiously, then I need to be engaged, right, when I'm watching them. So you do really well. Now, today we're going to do the 13 things I want to know about you, and there's about 20 questions, because as we all know, say it with me now, Arwen can't count. And I have a question for you that I haven't asked anybody else, and I'm asking because you're a student witch, and you know you're educated, and I really want to know Egyptian Book of the Dead versus Tibetan Book of the Dead. Which do you prefer?
Ooh.
I'm joking. Man.
I was like going through my mind, like, how do I answer this?
I had written down the Maleficus, Maleficus, and I was like, I can't even say it, much less ask it. So the first thing I want to know is, how did you come to know about the term witch in the first place? I mean, was it cartoon, book, neighbor lady? How did you hear about witches?
Just to go back to your first question, I had like flashbacks of like the oral defense of my master's exams, like when there's just thrown a questions like, how do I answer this? Okay. So that's good. So this is probably going to be a really common response, but just Disney movies, especially Sleeping Beauty, I would say, is one of my first and favorite portrayals of a witch. Maleficent, she's such a badass. And I remember being a little tiny kid, and at one point in the movie, I think when she's about to turn into the dragon, she says to the prince, like, I'm going to bring down the fury of hell. And when I was little, I was like, oh, she said hell in a Disney movie, you know? So that really stuck in my mind. Also, other movies and TV shows, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I was a kid in the 90s, so that was a thing for me. Hocus Pocus, definitely. Different types of like Halloween children's movies. But as far as like anything serious, like as far as magical practicing and whatnot, my very first memory of tarot cards was from my grandmother. And she never talked about them. She only brought them out once or twice to show us. And it was the hoi polloi kind of
oh my gosh. Deck. Yeah, that's a very cool deck.
From, I think, I have it. I own it now. I inherited it from her. And I think the little fine print at the bottom of the card says it was printed in like 1972 or something like that. So it's a very old deck. And I just remember her bringing them out, and my sister and I would kind of look at the images, and I remember the devil card was like, oh, this is badass, you know. But she never really talked about how she used them or how often. So unfortunately, I don't have that information because she passed away a long time ago. But that is one of the first like witchy tool encounters I had.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Now, do you read for fun? Do you read like fiction?
I do. Well, a lot of my reading, the fiction reading I do, has to do with my general's exams, my PhD exams, which are coming up. But it's also for fun as well. But yeah.
The reason I ask is there's a young adult series by Cressley Cole, and it is dystopian fiction.
Oh,
and
okay.
The main character, it's based on tarot. It's called the first one is the Poison Princess, and it's the Arcana Chronicles. But the whole principle, the whole beginning of the story is about the main character, Evie, and her relationship with her grandmother, who has been separated from her, and the tarot cards.
Wow. Okay.
So
I need to check this out.
it is young adult. I keep telling people that. I had somebody read it and they said, well, it's kind of juvenile.
It's young adult fiction. That's why.
It's supposed to be. And it's set in Louisiana when it starts, which is my home state.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But when you get free time, because I understand when you're doing PhD work, free time is this is a gift you've given me of this hour. So I appreciate it. But
I'll definitely have to check it out.
Yeah, and I'll put a link, y'all, down in the description box, so if you want to check it out, you can. I actually haven't read them. I do them on audiobook.
Oh, yeah.
So, and fair warning, she ends them on frickin' cliffhangers, and I hate that. So, what brought you to the craft? How did you get from, she said, hello, the Disney movie,
right,
to the path that you're on now?
Oh, man. How can I succinctly answer this? Well, really, so neither one of my parents were raised in a very strict religious household, but when my sister and I were born, my mom felt like we needed some religious order, I guess. So we were both baptized Episcopalian, and that's when we lived in Florida. Yeah. And then we moved to Kentucky, and even though we were in a really rural part of Kentucky, our small little town had the one and only Catholic church in the entire county. And our neighbors invited us to church, and going from Episcopal to Catholic, it's a baby step.
Yeah, it's super easy. If you're high Episcopal, it's like, oh, look, Catholic. If you're low Episcopal, oh, look, Methodist.
Yeah, exactly. So I was raised, I think in second grade is when we made the transition and went through the whole process and everything. So I was basically raised Catholic. But then I went to college and I took women's studies and feminist studies courses and educated myself. And I left Christianity. And so for about 5 years or so, I was just kind of like, I felt like I was wandering in the desert, like spiritually speaking. I just didn't have a home.
Yeah.
And then when I went to my PhD program in Massachusetts, that first semester was really, really hard because I was far away from my husband. We had just gotten married about 4 months earlier, and then I was far away and all alone up there, far away from my family and my parents and everything. So I was looking for a home, really. And I remembered my grandpa, my paternal grandfather, was from Appalachia. He was from eastern Kentucky.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so I started digging into those roots and looking for kind of the folk traditions and Appalachian granny magic. And actually it was through YouTube. That's when I stumbled upon Amber Honeyraven's channel. And at that point, like, I was completely ignorant about any sort of online communities being possible. I was just coming out of nowhere into this like world. And that's when I discovered, like, oh my God, you can be a pagan And by digging into these roots and like hoodoo and Appalachian root work and learning about that, and then going down all the different avenues that those, paths kind of open to you, I just became the student witch.
I love it. I love it. And Ember is so good. And that's a really nice connection because she is that backwoods redneck witch, y'all. I mean, she's got that real earthy, dig down and use what you got kind of vibe going on. So I think and of course everybody knows that she's my girl and I adore her. If you ever hear me speak bad of her, I'm probably teasing her. So, but I actually, my first memory of Appalachian magic, I was researching as part of my work in Wicca, as part of my first degree work. I was researching spirit guides, totem animals, magical companions as part of my teacher gave me work to do. Mm-hmm. And dragonflies are one of my big ones. Dragonflies, if you look on my my webpage for anaseptera.com, which is the Latin name for dragonfly, I have on the totem page that the Appalachian folklore is if you killed a dragonfly, its snake would come after you, and they said they were protectors of snake energy.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so that's every time, if I hear Appalachia now, or Appalachian, or any of that, my mind immediately
goes,
rehooks that into my brain.
Yeah.
Tell me what your favorite form of divination is. Are you a tarotist? Do you like pendulums? Mm-hmm. Are you a toe counter? I don't know what that is, but
tarot. I have the Mary L. Tarot here with me.
Oh, yeah.
This is my jam right here. Tarot, hands down, and oracle decks as well. It's just something about the system and just, the 78 cards, it just allows for so many different artist interpretations. It's endless, and that's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, it's an amazing, I tell people, even if I don't particularly can't read with a deck, it's still a miniature art gallery. And I was actually trying to look, I wanted to pimp something out, but if I can't find it, I can't pimp it out, can I? Oh, here it is. Oracle decks. This one's coming late next month, but it's The Secrets of the Mystic Grove.
Oh, that looks gorgeous. Oh, the peacock. Oh my God.
And she has, this is a very familiar theme for her. She puts birds in people's heads and cats. It's a gorgeous, her artwork is just amazing. And I'm being very self-serving. I wrote the book for it, but it's a really beautiful deck. Mary Elaine Thomas, gorgeous stuff. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever done a working that just backfired on you? Just like didn't do what you expected it to, took you down a different path?
I would say yes, but the backfiring was good. Or it turned out differently than I anticipated. So I did kind of a prosperity working to find some funding to go present at a conference. It sounds so nerdy. So yeah, there's this conference in my field that's biannual, I guess, every 2 years in New York City. And New York City is very expensive. And I was applying from the graduate school for funding. Unfortunately, my department, I think just that year, installed a new rule to where you have to finish your exams before the department gives you any funding. And so I was still taking classes at the time. So I was like, crap, how am I going to get funding? So I did this working with the intention that I would get funding from the graduate school or for some other organization on campus. That didn't work out. But my advisor, who was also going to the conference, she told me, hey, Rachel, I got some extra funding. I got a free room that you can stay in at the hotel. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah. And that saved me probably about $200 or $300. So that turned out well. And as far as a working kind of like unexpectedly, just going beyond my expectations, one of the first protective workings I did, and this is when I was just a little witchling. I mean, I was like 28 years old at the time, or no, 27 maybe, but still like very new on the path, and a friend of mine was experiencing some work-related bullying from this really bad person in the office. And so I work sometimes with Saint Michael, the Archangel. Yes. I really dig his protective, warrior, masculine energy.
You like his big flaming sword, don't you?
Don't we all?
Right?
But I had a candle for him, and the weirdest thing, so this person, my friend, her son is like very open. Just, he's like an antenna for energies and whatnot. And she said shortly after I did that working, she later told me that for some reason he started asking her questions about who Saint Michael was, and that Saint Michael came and said that everything was going to be all right.
Whoa.
And that was before I had months or weeks before I had told her what I did. And so her son picked up on that and said, you know, Saint Michael, who is Saint Michael? You know, he came and he said everything was going to be all right. And that's when I was like, wow, I must be onto something. That was like a huge affirmation.
Right. That's what I call the "this shit works" moment. Because you're
yes.
Like,
yes.
I did a protection spell on my car, and I wanted to I shielded myself from cops basically because I was going too fast. I had 3 instances within 15 minutes of casting that spell of almost getting hit.
Oh, wow.
And I realized that the spell I cast basically said, I don't want anybody to see me.
Mm-hmm.
That worked.
Oh, yeah.
So I actually pulled over, reworked it, and got back on the road because I was like, that's really not the if you don't think things through. But I love that Saint Michael showed up like that, because that's really, it's such a blessing. I mean, it's like a universal hello, this is working and we want you to know about it.
Yeah, that's what it felt like at the time.
Well, now let me look here. Are you a moon baby or a sun worshiper? Which one's your go-to?
Oh man, a little bit of both. Because my birthday is December 21st. So depending on the hemisphere you're in, it's either the winter or the summer solstice. For most of my life, it's been the winter solstice. I did go down to Chile a few years ago, and that was the first time it was the summer solstice. So I do have that connection with the sun that I've always felt since I was a kid. I always loved the fact that my birthday was the winter solstice, well, at least in the northern hemisphere.
And right there on that is that Sag Cappy? Yeah, Sag Cappy cusp. That's a pretty interesting cusp, because that can make you very conflicted sometimes.
Yes, it does. And I'm Sagittarius, but I'm a Capricorn moon too. So it's like,
well, yeah, because your Capricorn side says we need to do these things to get ahead, and your Sagittarius says, well, we're going to do them, but I'm going to tell the truth while we're doing them. And the Capricorn's going, no, 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 no.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. So that's my sun connection, but the moon, I do work with the moon and the cycles, and I'm, you know, a cisgendered woman with my own cycles that line up with the moon in a certain way. So I'm a little bit of both. I guess on a more regular schedule or monthly kind of time frame, I'm a moon baby, but I do love both the summer and the winter solstices and the equinox points of the year.
Cool. And thank you so much. As a trans ally, I want to say thank you for using the term cisgendered. I really appreciate that. It shows a lot of respect for the genderization of our culture. So I really appreciate that.
Well, I try. I try.
Yeah. I mean, I've got, good Lord, a good dozen friends who are M to F or F to M. So yeah. And I try to be really conscious of using pronouns, but I screw it up all the time.
It's hard after you've been socialized for so long that there are only 2 possibilities, and it's hard.
Yeah. Now, this is a Southwest question. I'm going to ask it of you anyway. Red sauce or green sauce? Or does that not make any sense?
It does. It does. Because I'm in Georgia right now, and there's a growing Mexican immigrant population in rural parts of the South. So like that does make sense. I'm gonna say both.
Christmas.
Give me one. Yeah, give me one enchilada covered in green and one in red, and I'll be happy.
I've had so much fun with that question and having to translate it to different areas of the world. And I actually, if you didn't know that one, I was going to ask you chicken, baked or fried. But I figured you're from Kentucky, so fried was going to be a...
Yeah. Yeah, that's the default, yeah.
Yeah, being from Louisiana, like, for 13 years, what do you mean you can bake it?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Is there an afterlife in your belief system?
Oh, man. I feel like I'm so wishy-washy with all of these answers that I'm giving. I feel like reincarnation does make sense. And I do understand space and time as not being linear, as being cyclical, and more complicated than just one-way street. So I do think that you can reincarnate in what to us would be the past or in the future or something like that. But my more skeptical, like academic brain, because I don't have proof and I don't know, and there is no way to know until you go through it. I guess my safest answer would be I'm not sure. But one way that I kind of, even in a more, I'm going to put this in quotes, atheist understanding of death, that there's nothing, which there isn't really nothing, but a more atheist understanding of would be when you die, your consciousness becomes one with the whole. So you're not individual anymore. You're one with the whole, which is what happens. I mean, physically, your body goes back to the earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, and then your individual consciousness just dissipates and like melts into the vast ocean of allness, I guess.
I like that. And speaking of oceans, it's deserted island time.
Okay.
You can pick three, whoops, can't count, 3 tools. These are magical tools. They don't have to be survival tools for all the earth signs in the world. It can be so practical. But 3 magical tools that you would need or want on that deserted island. What would they be?
Oh, man. My book of mirrors, my journal that I just recently started, but I'm already falling in love with it. It's been so healing. So definitely my book of mirrors. Definitely a tarot deck. I'd probably have to take, oh man, it's either between my grandmother's or the Marielle tarot. But my grandmother's because I would feel bad leaving it behind. But the Marielle because it just taps into my brain in a way that no other tarot deck has so far. I leave that door of possibility open. There might be another deck out there that can one-up it. But so far, the Marielle. So we have Book of Mirrors, Marielle. Third, got to be some crystals. Nice. But if I had to choose just one crystal, right now it would be my bloodstone. I've been really connecting with the bloodstone a lot lately because I have a tendency to be very heady and spacey, and I need to get back down on earth sometimes.
Yeah. And bloodstones, people think of bloodstones for a lot of different things, and they kind of skip over the fact that it can just ground your ass.
Yes.
Like boom.
Yes, it does. It's been very good for me.
Very cool. I'm kind of looking around because I'm actually trying not to ask all the same questions because people keep studying.
I try not to, I promise.
What's the type of magic you enjoy doing the most? And when I say type of magic, I'm talking about like candle magic or stone magic or, the different areas. If you're going to craft a spell, what's your go-to?
Candles. Being a fire sign. I'm also married to a fire sign. My husband's an Aries. So he's Aries, I'm Sagittarius, so lots of fire. Yeah, candles. I've just recently learned how, or the basics of how to make soy candles.
Oh.
Which has been really great. It's kind of added an extra layer of meaning and, putting a little bit extra piece of me into the working. So that's been wonderful. And creating a candle and setting the candle and putting the intentions, just like every step, opportunity to just add a layer and layer and layer of intention and meaning. And then when you finally like trim the wick, I kind of view trimming the wick as kind of awakening the candle. That's like the image that comes to my mind. And then lighting it is just releasing all of that to the universe and letting it do its thing.
I love the idea of intentionally trimming the wick. That's so witchy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, how do you intentionally honor or care for deity, if that's something you can talk about? I respect that some people don't want to go into that. I'm one of those. I don't want to go into it. But right. I sure want to hear about others.
I'm pretty much, it might be a Sagittarius thing, but I'm pretty much an open book. I probably release too much of myself out there. But so deity, that's something I struggled with for a really long time. I started out on the path pretty sure that I would never have a matron or a patron. And for a while, 6 months to a year now, I think I worked just with the elements and the moon phases and things like that. And I really, which was great, I needed to deepen my understanding and relationship with the elements. But then, this probably about a month and a half ago, I started getting this, this kind of itch in the back of the neck. It felt like to find or claim, I don't know, find or claim, the words just don't work because I feel like she's always been there, but to start to overtly working with a matron. And she's very, very, very ancient. I call her Mama Creatrix because she's so ancient we don't remember her name, kind of thing. She's the goddess or the being that was represented by all the ancient Venus figurines. So the Venus of Willendorf and the Venus of Lespugue, I think is how it's pronounced. All these ancient figurines from 15, 20, 30, 40,000 years ago. I feel like just based on the archaeological evidence we have so far, that time period in human history, because genetically we've been Homo sapiens sapiens for 150, 200,000 years, but for some reason around between 40 and 60,000 years ago, it's almost like culture happened and artistic representation and overt spiritual representation happened, or at least that's the evidence we have in the cave paintings and the artifacts and the flutes made out of animal bones and all this crazy ancient stuff that I've always been drawn to. That I've always been really drawn to the late Paleolithic and the Paleolithic time period and that like turning point in human prehistory almost.
Yeah.
And so a few weeks ago, or about a month and a half ago, I woke up. It was a Thursday morning. I remember this. I just woke up one day and I thought, oh crap, I found her. Like, that's it. So I haven't had time to plan like a formal dedication ritual to her. That will be happening, I'm thinking, around the time of the summer solstice, or at least up here in the north, the summer solstice. But she is actually the one who I've begun making candles for and adding herbs and specific scents to the candles to work with her. I actually purchased a replica statue off of Amazon that I found for like $30 of her. So now she is on my altar. I gave her space. I have a specific obsidian bracelet that I put on her. Actually, Travis, the pagan scholar, sent me some crystals a couple months ago. We did like a little trade, and one of them is this beautiful piece of obsidian that he sent me. And that goes with her. She is my matron for sure, for now at least. And just burning incense for her, specifically on the full moons, and making candles for her and giving her space, and just beginning to like dip my toe in that relationship with her. It's been a wild ride and very surprising, because like I said, I started off on this path thinking that like, oh, that isn't for me, or, you know, I probably won't ever have a matron or a patron. Here I am.
You know, Amber Honeyraven said the same thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she said she really didn't ever think she'd have, like, you know, a deity because of the way she approached this witchy woo-woo crap. I have to tell you, Rachel, that I do a retreat every year with Joanna Powell Colbert. It's the Gaia and Soul Retreat. She only did 2 of them. Now she's adding a 3rd one this in 2018 for people who've never been to one. She's doing like a foundational retreat. They're amazing. This last one, Ellen Lorenzi Prince was there, and we did work around Goddess and her tarot of the. She's done tarot of the Crone, tarot of the Dark Goddess also, but it was the Dark Goddesses we were working with. In my meditation that I did for myself, when I came out of it, I had an interaction with a deity, a female, but who was so deeply, I call her root cellar woman, because she was literally roots going back and forth. And when I asked her name, she looked at me and said, I am she who has been forgotten and been renamed. You may call me whatever speaks to you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and when you were just talking, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, yes. I love root cellar woman as well, like as another name for her. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but it was very, 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 I still remember coming out of it just a little dazed, because the entity was so freaking big.
Yeah. In
terms of her energy. It was huge.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. I wonder if it's a connected, well, I think it must be, because she really said, basically, she's been renamed so many times, she didn't even know it was anymore, and she didn't really care. She just was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That sounds like her. Yeah.
Wow. You're the first person I've met that has had an experience like that. So I may have to go. That's rewoken. I may have to go back and rework. I just met her. I didn't work with her. I just. Yeah. We'll see. Hold, please.
Yeah. Hold that thought. Yeah.
What do you do for self-care for you? How do you take care of the witch that is Student Witch?
Oh my God, self-care is so essential. And I just, coming from someone who has gone through grad school for so many years, and the stresses and demands of academia, I mean, every job and every career is stressful in its own way. I just know the nerdy academic way. In the wintertime, I take lots of baths, and I infuse lots of like chamomile and lavender into the bath, along with salts to like kind of soak up and get out all those stressful energies.
Yeah.
It's going to therapy too. That's
yeah.
Yes, therapy. Oh my God. Sometimes it's eating lots of Thai food, like spicy Thai food.
I like it.
Like it.
Therapy is a noun that means what I do instead of killing people who need it.
Yes. Yes. Just lots of, I have a lot of like food, I don't know how to explain it, food behaviors. Like if I'm feeling a certain way, I just know that noodles came out, the spicy noodles came out, it's gonna fix it. So sometimes, even though I don't have a lot of money because I'm a poor grad student, I need to get my noodles keema.
I totally understand. I have a thing with of all things, tuna. But if I'm feeling a certain level of sadness or unhappiness, tuna is my happy food. So I don't know why, but tuna is one of my comfort foods, which is nice because, you know, at less than $1 a can, I can actually eat that. Well, name something that brings you joy.
Oh man, well right now it's not the dump truck going on. I don't know if you can hear in the background. I think they're emptying out the the dumpsters in the apartment complex now. Something that brings me joy. Oh, well, I guess the most immediate thing would be my husband right now. Because during the academic year, we're long distance. So finally, for the summer, we have an extensive, 3 months together.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and he is about to finish his dissertation. Thank you, baby Jesus.
Well, congratulations, soon to be doctor.
Yes.
Which?
Yes. And he has a job offer in the works right now in the area, so that's why things are kind of crazy, because we have to move out of the graduate student housing off campus, and we're moving in the next couple weeks, so things are a little nuts right now, but in a good way, in a very, very good way. So that's bringing me joy right now.
That's exciting. It's like next step stuff. Level up. So
yes,
cool.
It's very much a level up.
Now, we talked about your favorite meal, so let's go on to the second to last question. Ghost story time.
Oh, man. Okay, so I have probably 2 good ones. My grandmother, the same grandmother with the tarot deck, so she passed away when I was 12. She had pancreatic cancer. And I was fortunate enough and blessed enough to be by her side when she passed. So, and all of my grandparents passed away at home, which is great. None of them had to go to nursing homes or die in the hospital or anything like that. So that was amazing. I'm really happy for that. So yeah, she was the first grandparent to pass on. And so I was 12. So fast forward when I'm 20 years old, just randomly she comes to me in a dream. And in the dream, we were sitting in the basement because she used to like to sit downstairs and play cards and smoke cigarettes. And we were sitting in the basement, and my grandpa was there, my parents were there. Nobody else could see or hear her but me. So she was really like, I have a message for you. You need to hear this. And the message was something along the lines of, and I don't remember exactly what she said, it was just more of a feeling. But it was kind of a warning that some intense stuff was about to happen, but that I was going to come out the other side stronger and better. And sure enough, that was the beginning of my junior year of college. By December, I just had more or less a breakdown. My undiagnosed, untreated depression got way out of line.
Oh, yeah.
I had some issues with my relationship to my mom and my parents that needed to be worked out, and the stress of being in college and being a first-generation college student from a more working-class background at a private liberal arts college with lots, it was too much for me to handle. So that's when I finally started to face my depression, and I got diagnosed, and I finally had a name for it. And when you name something, you can tackle it much easier.
Right?
Yes. So I had to take a couple weeks off of school and try to get back on the horse. But the next semester, I did. I got back on the horse and graduated with honors my senior year, and I'm really pleased that I was thinking of dropping out or taking more time off, but I had the image of this dragon. I was like, no, I gotta conquer this dragon. I gotta do it. So she was kind of warning me about that, and now, so fast forward about 4 or 5 years later, probably around November of 2011, maybe November timeframe. She came to me again, just randomly out of the blue in my dreams, to tell me that something really good was about to happen. And so a couple months later, that's when I met my husband.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Yeah. So that was probably my first encounter or ghost story. Well, when I was in high school, my friends and I were having a slumber party at a friend's house, and she had warned us that there had been some activity, and they think it was the former owner who was kind of a cantankerous old man. So things would move around in the kitchen. He liked to hang around in the kitchen in the hallway part of the house. So my friend and I, and she's a little sensitive to these things too, we just felt uneasy in that part of the house. No one else felt uneasy, but we did. Mm-hmm. We were not comfortable. And so we were sitting across from the table from each other, and we both turned our heads and looked towards the hallway. And at the same time, we both saw the shadow figure of a man cross the hallway. He looked over his shoulder like this at us, and then kept walking it through the wall and disappeared into the wall. And we both looked at each other like, did you just see that? No one else saw it. No one else felt it. But she and I saw the exact same thing at the exact same time. That pretty much confirmed the existence of spirits to me.
Right. So I'm good. Don't need any more close and personals. I'm good.
Yeah. But luckily, I have never had any scary encounters or negative encounters or anything like that. It was startling at the time, but nothing serious. So, knock on wood.
That is a very cool story. Now, my very last question for you is the one I ask everybody. Okay. What is your best advice to somebody just starting out on their own path? What did you want to have been told, or what's the thing you remember from that very beginning that you think is important for everybody?
Right. I'm going to borrow a phrase from Kellyanne Maddox. Something that I watched in one of her videos probably a year and a half or 2 years ago, when she mentioned the idea of unverifiable personal gnosis. And that just blew my mind. The idea that you should read the books and do the study and do the work and experiment and be open to change, but at the end of the day, it's your personal experience in combination with all those other things that brings you to gnosis. And if you know something, it doesn't have to be verified. You don't have to look it up in the encyclopedia to check and see if you're right. If you know it, you know it. It's your personal truth. It's your personal gnosis, and that's what's most important. So search for that would be my recommendations.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. I really like that one. And that's similar to something I tell people, read everything, trust yourself.
Yeah.
So, that's beautiful. Rachel, thank you so very much for joining me. Everybody, this has been the Student Witch, aka Rachel, who has a wonderful channel. You'll see a link down below. So please, if you are not subscribed to her, go do so. And I don't know why you wouldn't be, because she's got a great channel. And she doesn't overwhelm you with stuff like some people who post lots and lots of Taroscope videos.
Oh, no. We love your Taroscopes. But thank you so much for being open to this and inviting me to your channel. And this has been a great interview. It's my very first kind of invitation to someone else's channel. This is great.
Really? Well, I am so glad that you accepted my invitation. And I don't even remember who told me to go ask you, but your name came up several times when I said, who do you want me to talk to? Student Witch, Student Witch, Student Witch. Okay. Well, when I say goodbye, I say seek joy, y'all. How do you end your videos so that people will know?
I just say many blessings until next time.
Seek joy, y'all. Bye-bye.
Bye.